Hey.
Hey, buddy.
How are you,
It's
man?
good to see you. Congratulations to you, man. An amazing film, man.
Oh, cool.
It really is. It blew my mind. So.
Oh, great.
Take me back, if you don't mind, 16 years ago when the first Lord of the Rings film came out, and you were doing this incredible technology, and now stepping into this film in 2017. What did it look like then, and what does it look like now, and what stayed the same and what's changed?
Well, motion capture, the physical capture of the body has not changed since a great deal since 2001, 2002. Other than that, you can shoot outside on location. I should say that is the big thing that's changed. You can't. At that time, you could only shoot in a volume with cameras in a studio, 360 degree. But now, and actually, when we started working on Planet of the Apes, we were able to take cameras outside for the first time and shoot on location. So that was one thing. Of course, facial capture is probably the most significant difference, because when we were shooting Lord of the Rings, when I was playing Gollum, there was no facial capture. It was basically my performance was filmed, and then the animators copied, frame by frame, exactly what my face was doing. But this is direct drive, so to a certain extent, you have markers on your face, you have a head-mounted camera, and then the skill is of the artists at Weta, the visual effects company, to take that performance, which goes into the cut, and Matt lives with and watches the scenes and creates all the drama and the beats and everything, and that gets the scenes exactly right. Then the visual effects start, and he lives with that cut for nearly a year, whilst the visual effects start to come in, and then they end up taking the facial performance and then translating it onto the physiognomy of the ape characters, and that's been the big leap forward, is the facial side of it, and the rendering and the honouring of the actor's performance has got greater detail in it.
You mentioned honouring actors' performances, and I know actors don't like hearing this, and it makes them nervous, but you genuinely deserve an Academy Award for this performance. I think you're amazing in this role, and I think it's interesting to me that the Academy has yet to understand what's behind either an animated character or a CGI character. You look at Robin Williams in Aladdin, who's doing incredible voice work there, but here, you are that person on screen, and everything we're seeing from Caesar is from you, emotionally, internally, externally. Can you talk about why you think this is still an issue in regards to why it's not being recognized as it should be as a performance?
It's interesting because it's like there's nothing to say that it hasn't been recognised. It's just that people start to want to put it into a different category, and that's where the muddle comes, because there's no need for it to be put into a different category. It's acting is acting, and I, as you know, and I've been saying for the last 16 years.
Yeah.
So it's I think there is some, the fact of the matter is, if we were doing Planet of the Apes now using prosthetic makeup, you have a team of artists that are creating a look, an aesthetic. They would build up my face. I'd go in for 5 hours of makeup. I'd go out and I'd play Caesar with prosthetic makeup on. That would probably not reflect anywhere near the level of detail of internal performance that that you're able to give with performance capture, because you're not limited by anything. There's no artifact. There's nothing to hide what you're doing. But people have an easier time understanding an actor playing a role wearing makeup. But with this, it really is the same as acting, but then the makeup being put on after the fact. That is really what it is. But it seems to be there has been a shroud of mystery around it, and that people still say to me, "So were you actually there when they were shooting Caesar?"
They don't get it.
And it's just like, of course I was there. I was acting opposite Woody, or as acting opposite Jason Clarke or James Franco, or we're acting, looking into each other's eyes, creating the scenes.
It's interesting to me because you played characters who are multiple different sizes. You look at Snoke, who's a big guy, and then Gollum's relatively small. They're clearly different size than you are as a human being. So when you have someone that much volume around you, do you take that into account in regards to, do you have to move a certain way? Like when you're playing Snoke, do you envision how big you are? Oh
yeah, because you change your physicality for the size. Imagine the size of bones that character would have. In actual fact, of course, that's a hologram. So
sure.
So in that respect, but so Snoke is not that size in real life. But for instance, King Kong. When I played Kong originally in the 2005 version, Peter Jackson's version, I was wearing huge weights to make my limb movements slower, and and so on and so forth. So it does affect that, yeah.
When you're running as Caesar, when you're on a horse. Can you just talk about briefly what it looks like for you on set? I know you have the hand things, but are there elements where you're sometimes physically on all fours yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Not so much on all fours myself. And actually, in this movie, Caesar's become more human-like, apart from when he does quadruped. But we use arm extensions then, for instance, in some of the scenes where he's, towards the end of the movie where he's on the run and really running fast. Yeah, I mean, that was me quadrupeding on arm extension.
That's cool. It's nice seeing you. Thank you so much.
Too, man.
It's really good to see you.
Lovely.
So this is something I noticed when I was watching the film. I could be 100% wrong. Was there an element to your performance where your voice sounded a little bit like Marlon Brando's from The Godfather? Were you going for a little Brando-esque, or am I just hearing things?
Well, no. There was a couple times I did some weird shit with my voice, but I didn't want to go Brando because there's already too much in the writing that you can tell the character's inspired by Kurtz and Heart of Darkness, so
yeah,
that's automatically making you think Brando.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know. It was just this tone of the voice. And I think characters, it's always interesting to me what an actor wears in a scene. I think sunglasses say so much about a character. I mean, obviously you saw Natural Born Killers. What is it about sunglasses to you? I know this might be a weird question, but that you think adds to the character and the performance?
Well, I think, sometimes every aspect of what a character has, whether it be, their hair, something in the makeup or the jewelry, everything adds something. In this case, you think about, you must have watched Cool Hand Luke,
of course.
And you think about that guard who had those shades, just a deadly mofo. So there's something about hiding the eyes, and behind these sunglasses that I think feels right.
That was cool.
About this guy.
That shot that Matt got of you shaving your head from the back, that shot just says so much about the character. It's honestly a very scary shot. And I'm just wondering, as an actor, how aware you are of, the shots being taken, and especially in that particular moment. Is that something, what are you trying to say as a character in that moment?
Yeah, I wanted to do the shaving thing. I don't know why. I just felt like there was something, that you're catching him, just as all the soldiers assemble, you're kind of catching him in his morning routine. And he goes out and gives a bit of a benediction. And got a God complex for sure.
Yeah.
He looks at himself as the potential savior for humanity.
That's cool. Now, we were just talking before the interview. I know you're in London. You're shooting Han Solo, which is so cool. What's your experience been like with Chris Miller and Phil Lord? They're geniuses. I love them.
Yeah,
I love the
I
work
love
they've done.
those guys. I think they're amazing directors, and I think they're doing a hell of a job with this movie.
Yeah. I mean, is it just blowing your mind being in a Star Wars film? How is that crazy for you?
Well, I've been doing it now for almost 4 months, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of gotten used to it, but I'm very psyched to be a part of it.
Yeah. I got to say that I love the beginning and how you kind of summarize what happened in Rise and Dawn.
Oh, cool.
And I always think that's such an interesting tool because there's a way to do that. And I think the way you did it was so perfect. And when an audience sits down to watch the movie,
Yeah.
they might not remember every element.
That's exactly right.
Can you
That's
talk
why we
about-
did it, yeah.
Can you talk about finding that balance and what you need to tell us?
Well, that was the thing, is that we didn't want, look, we're part of a larger story, but we wanted this story to stand on its own.
It does.
And at the same time, you needed to have certain information that was, you need to know about what happened and how humanity was destroyed by the simian flu. There were certain things we needed to know, and so we wanted our version of that crawl that was just the information that we figured that even fans of the movie might need a refresher on just in the beginning. So we did a little crawl at the beginning. It was fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, Giacchino is one of my favorite composers of all time.
Me too.
I mean, I still cry when I listen to his Star Trek theme when Abrams turned. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But this theme is one of the leading characters of this movie.
I agree, yeah.
And it's brilliant. And I'm wondering, I've asked filmmakers this before, and I find it interesting that it is such a leading character. Do you direct it as a character, and also do the actors do they ever get a taste of what the music is?
The music is.
taste?
You know what's interesting is I sometimes play music for actors, but I don't. I didn't play the score because the score Michael doesn't write until it's
Later.
finished. So we temp the music, and then Michael watches it once through, and then he throws all of that out, and he is like an actor. It's a very interesting thing. He wrote this beautiful theme in the movie. And I asked him about it because it was so heartbreaking. And I said, I said, God, you know, that's such an amazing thing. How did that? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I felt like it was a little bit of sadness inside me that I didn't know I had. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, he's like an actor. You know, he's expressing himself through music. It's
awesome.
it's an amazing process.
Now, when I watch the B-roll footage, I'm obsessed with filmmaking, and I think performance capture is something I've been a huge advocate of for a long time. It's acting. It's no different than acting.
Yeah.
It's on screen. In some shots, the apes or the humans or actors are wearing, like, they have like square white things with black dots on them, and in some scenes they don't.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because some of those are cruder markers, you know, for like, those might be like stunt people, and they're not having there are these active tracking markers that our actors wear, and that is very, very detailed information, data that we have on them. And the other ones are sort of broader markers so that they can use, those might be apes that might be covered with, so like you've got a guy who's riding a horse, a stunt guy. Those are those kind of markers that have much less detail. They're much more like broad sort of marking that they could use.
I think what you've done with filmmaking is incredible, and I'm wondering, like, I mean, I know that you can't give any information, but I'm excited about the Batman.
Oh, cool.
And I'm just wondering, like, have you had conversations with Affleck already?
You know what? I literally am just starting, because I finished this movie like 8 days ago, so this is just the beginning. There's truly nothing I can even say yet because we haven't even started.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. You're going to do a freaking awesome
Thank
job,
you, man.
Mr.
I appreciate
Reeves. It's always a pleasure. I was watching some of the behind-the-scenes footage, and you're physically on screen as yourself, but I saw you wearing some performance capture suits in the footage. Can you talk about why that was? Was that because I know you're dealing with the apes, but I'm wondering why that was why you had the suit on.
Yeah, so at the end of filming, we had volume, and I played an ape for a day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I mean, also in volume, I was wearing that little suit, and then on the monitor, I was wearing this outfit.
Huh.
It was crazy.
Yeah, you had motion capture stuff on prior to last day.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw you like out there with all the other guys in their suits doing
the whole
that.
volume, so we did scenes, and I had that gray motion capture suit, but on the monitor I had my blue sweater and
That's so cool.
the red boots,
Is your ape in the movie?
It's like, I don't even know if they put it in there, but it was just like one of the little ape extras. I was just, because I was wrapped, and then they were like, you want to play an ape? And I was like, why not?
So cool. Now, we were just discussing this. I've been an advocate of Andy Serkis and performance capture for so many years. I think to me, it's the same thing as acting as on screen. It's the exact same, it literally is the exact same thing. It is. But talk about...
It's actually harder.
I agree. And talk about to an audience who might not understand what this is. Tell them what you're doing on set. Because, I mean, again, you're there, you're performing, but what is it for you on set?
The only difference, and this is great because I came into this not knowing technically what it meant at all. The only difference is you're wearing a gray outfit with dots on it.
Yeah.
And a helmet with a camera and a backpack. That's it. Everything else is... Everything else is this. It's like the movie. I mean, you see the prison yard. We were on an incredible set that was a prison yard.
That was crazy.
Next to the river. We're up at Whistler riding horses through snow and all
freezing
that.
cold.
So the beauty of that, what makes the technology amazing to me is that it doesn't impede what I do at all. What it does is it allows me to just perform. It allows me to be this guy, right, who happens to be a chimp. And the technology comes in after, right? They want you to perform. And if you perform well, then they can do their work.
Yeah, they build it from what you did on set.
Exactly.
But what I find interesting is that sequence when we first kind of get into where you've been living for a while, and you jump back and forth grabbing like cool items. I was like nerd now. When you're shooting that, you're actually just doing that, right? Or you're just jumping back and forth, going through things?
Actually, I've wiped out.
Okay,
Really?
do you know that scene where he fell?
Yes. Wait. In
That
the
was-
movie? When you wipe out. Yes, you do wipe
That
out.
was not supposed to happen.
I told Matt because
cool.
they put fake snow on the ground.
I
And so
remember
when I ran, in your head you're
He
thinking,
wasn't supposed to
I'm
fall.
gonna run and try to make it as effortless as possible. And so I ran over there and I wiped out. And I bruised the hell out of my hip. And I told Matt after, I was like, Kai, I hope that works for the film. That'd be awesome.
And they
of course
CGI'd it. They made it.
They just put it in.
That's
They made it
cool.
in. And then I added in looping, like, I'm okay. Yeah, but,
Can you talk about your speech pattern though? Because it is interesting to me. Like you talk to Andy, you talk to. I mean, obviously, there's a few limited apes that do speak in the movies, and like that voice, the way you pause, the way you stop a word. I mean, it's interesting to me. Now, can you talk about how you found that? I know you're coached on it.
Well, kind of not. I mean, I know Matt was really concerned about it, and I was too, but we just kind of explored during my first day. And it really kind of just took its own... It just kind of happened. But we didn't really adjust it that much, you know? We just... I don't know, it just kind of worked, I guess. Matt liked it, and that's what it was. I mean, that's the thing about, you know, it's not like a play where you have 6 weeks to rehearse. You know, you show up day one to shoot, and your set is a 3-story building that's fake snow and beautifully crafted, and it's daunting. And you're like, wow, this is built for my character. We're shooting this week. This is my first scene. I'm with Andy Serkis. I'm with Karen and Michael and Terry Notary and all these guys that have done this for years. And I've got to be good the first minute. Talk about scared, nervous. That was a tough week, man. It was a tough day, but I was encouraged and I felt good about it, and it just kind of landed.